Morning YouTube, how we doing this morning? Welcome back to another episode of On the Road. This morning we're going to head up to Seattle, which is about an hour drive. We're going to go visit a hobbyist that's been in the hobby for many years, all the way back to when he used to write articles for magazines and stuff, but he wrote them by hand. Didn't have computers back then, which kind of gives you an idea how old he is. This gentleman at one point was considered to have the largest dove in captivity, and recently lost that dove. I want to say a few months back. He also had a beautiful, nice pair of umbi that also tragically lost, which is too bad. We won't get to see the two of them, but we will see a male offspring from his dove that he kept just in case, because his dove was getting up there in age. We'll check with Mel. Oh, I just gave it away. Yes, that is right. We're heading up to Mel's. Most of you know him as GuapoteMel on YouTube. But we'll ask him some questions about what his future plans are. And from what I understand, I think him and his wife want to retire. So he might be getting out of the hobby here. But we'll pick his brain a little bit when we get there. So stay tuned. We'll see you in a little bit. We're here, YouTube. Up there is Mel's place. Let's go have some fun.
Okay, great. All right, thank you.
Most definitely.
Don't worry, Edgar, he won't bother you.
Hey, bud. What's up?
He gets older and is more shy every time.
Yeah, it's okay. So your boys are getting old. They're getting up there in age, aren't they?
My cats or my fish?
Both.
I guess these guys. I never keep track of the ages, but I.
Time goes by so fast.
Yeah, I guess they are a few years old now. That's the original pair over there. That's the last male I kept on my. That's like one of the sons basically. They haven't spawned for a while because I guess you were probably right. The female's probably too old to lay eggs anymore. Maybe they're 7, 8 years old. I don't know.
He's still a good-looking lion's eye.
Yeah, he's got a nice little nuchal hump and nice fins and all that stuff.
So how you been?
I've been good. Just I retired and been doing a lot more traveling and looking forward to doing a lot more traveling.
So there's a rumor going around that you're getting rid of, getting out of the business, or not business, but the hobby.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've been keeping these fish for a long time, and my son moved to New York, and our cats are getting old, and you really can't travel when you've got lots and lots of pets. So if we want to visit him and see Europe and do a lot of that kind of stuff, then something's got to give. And so it's time to spend less on electricity and water changes and more on travel, basically.
No, it makes sense. Are you gonna start selling off the tanks one at a time, or?
Probably not right away, just because I never know if I'm going to change my mind.
As soon as you sell them is when you will.
Yeah, so I just figured I'd just keep things as they are, with the idea that I'm not getting any more fish, and just sort of see how it goes.
Because I want one of the ones downstairs.
Oh, do you? Well, you'll be the first to know if I ever get real
I know were these jags down in your 1,000 at one time?
No, these are the females. I kept the females and the males apart because I don't want to have the same situations I did with the dovies and 8 billion babies, especially now. if I put one of those jags in the 1,000 with, I'd have like 100,000 jaguars in no time.
Especially the size of these females.
Yeah. So they spawn together all the time. You know, they're now lesbians.
Hey, whatever it takes.
It's gay pride. This is Wallingford after all.
It is.
So,
That is. It is up in this area. Nice.
I've kind of kept it to where I don't have, I don't have that many fish. It's just a few in each tank. So I'm trying to get it to where I can do one water change a week instead of, one water change per tank instead of having to do 2-3 water changes a week like I was doing on that giant Dovi forever. Now that he's gone, I'm not doing nearly as many. I don't know if you want to.
You still have a Dovi in this tank, though, right?
Oh, of course.
One of his kids.
I'll always have, as long as I have fish. In fact, I'll probably never get rid of that. They'll always have at least one fish, and it's going to be a male Dovi.
Exactly.
So I probably never get completely out of it because I still enjoy the fish. But like I said, they're just other stuff, So yeah, I actually kept two of the Dovis. There's the biggest male left that I've got, and then over there is the secondary.
Well, let's take a look at them.
And of course, they have already, that's his mom, and they've practiced incest already a few times, But she's actually been physically beaten up by him as he's gotten bigger. She doesn't want to spawn, or maybe she's just too old anymore, because she's probably a decade by now, too, or more.
She's actually, I remember the last time I was here, she was not nearly that big. She's gotten.
You've got to remember, you were looking at a
That's
male
true.
that was over 2 feet long compared to her, and she didn't look very big.
Yeah.
I don't think she's much different in size. You just have a male that's about a foot now instead of, 12, 13 inches as opposed to double that.
Instead of, yeah.
And so it makes her, now she looks a lot bigger. So it's really kind of a good way for you to see how big she was, how big that male was in comparison, because he was a monster.
How old would you say he was when he finally passed?
I don't know. I don't keep track of the ages that good, but he was somewhere, I'll say somewhere between 12 and 15 years. Maybe split the middle, maybe 13 and a half, 14 years, something like that. He was big. I knew he was going for since last October or so. He started eating less. And, I used to, as you know, do that, and the guy turn around in 3 seconds, and he started to get to where he just
didn't care
anymore. I could get my hands in the tank all over it and clean it without having to watch where I was anymore, because he just run out of steam. And then there was a few times where she actually started bullying him, and that's when I knew, he's got no. And I don't think he did much eating the last, say, by December he was maybe eating a piece of krill every 3 or 4 days as opposed to a handful every day.
Right.
And then one day in January, I just came downstairs and he was just laying on his side, that was it.
I had to take a big old lump in your gut.
Yeah, well, and the thing is, there's multiple emotions when that happens. Of course, he was my favorite fish, and he was giant. So, but I knew it was coming. But you think, good God, I sure did spend a lot of time and money on that guy over the years. But he gave me lots of enjoyment. And he sure populated the area with Dovis, that's for sure.
Yeah, he's definitely talked about quite a bit on all the different forums. Your name and him comes up quite often.
Yeah, so I knew when he did his last spawning, which I believe was maybe last summer, probably maybe this time last year, maybe a little later. And then when they did spawn, there was very few fry as opposed to the old time when there'd be multiples. And I figured, I better yank a few of those out. And I picked that one for color. It had really great color, but he's a lot more timid. I picked that one for size and
a little more aggressive.
Yeah. But he's got good colors, but this is the chicken tank, and I don't know why. It always has been.
They all skittish over here in the corner.
Yeah, they except for the pair of chanchos. If you would have, you were going to come last week.
Mm-hmm.
If you would have been here last week, you would have saw about 1,000, 2,000 fry in the corner with one of the pair of chanchos. had just spawned, and they were just all over the place.
So I thought you, for whatever reason, that the only chancho you had was the large male in
No,
there.
I have 2 pairs of chanchos in here.
Oh.
That's a female right there. That just right behind this big fret is a female. In there is one of the males.
Oh, there he is poking his head out.
Yeah, and then usually the other male's either in that other cave or behind the rocks in the back over there. They definitely keep, they very much keep territories. And nobody basically screws with them unless, of course,
I can see his big tail in the back there.
Yeah,
and as I keep freaking
that's
him
where
out.
they typically spawn, is in that very far corner. And
so all the orange are from the Midas you had as well?
yeah, they're all like I think when we had the last fish club, remember there was tons of fry.
Yeah, and you had a couple of your old ones would lay on the ground and rest for a couple minutes.
And they finally died. So now all I got is the youth. And I pulled a few of the bigger, some of those out and stuck them in the little 135 over there where they grow a lot faster in there.
And where did you originally get your Midas from, if you don't mind? Were they
Oh,
graphs?
God.
And the only reason I asked that, now these are Midas. These are the citronellum?
Yeah.
Okay. Because there's so many people that are looking for these bright orange true citronellum, and they can't find them.
Yeah, well, you come in here, you'll see some real bright orange ones.
Oh.
These are just the babies that are, they're doing okay, but the ones in here are the ones I picked out for color and size. And,
Well, dang it, I should have brought a bucket. No. Oh, look at these guys.
those are citronellum. 2 males.
I'm sitting down for this
Go
one.
ahead. And to where I got these originally, I believe it's been so many years. Again, I've spawned these for 2 decades or so as well. I think I got these from a guy back in New York.
Is it Jeff Raps?
Mike
over there?
Sheridan.
No, Mike. Okay.
And he passed away 10 years ago or so. But Mike was a big, you may not be familiar with that name, but he was a big,
It sounds familiar.
hobbyist in the East Coast. He wrote a lot of articles in the BB back in the day in the 70s and 80s, and he was famous for a big trimac called Macaleer, who had a big hump and lots of purple on him and stuff. But yeah, I got a lot of my fish from my contact with Guy Jordan, who was the founder of the ACA. And Guy, when I first got a hold of him in the early 70s, and I was a young kid, and the ACA had been going for 4 or 5 years, and I just out of college, and I started tape spawning with Guy, and I was like, where can I get some of these fish? Like everybody, and back in those days, this is pre-internet, pre the Central American boom. Absolutely nobody was into Central American cichlids. I was thought of as a complete lunatic because even the ACA, basically, the ACA really stood for African Cichlid Association, not American Cichlid Association. It was all Mbunas and Tanganyikans and whatever, and there was just the guy that founded the ACA, Guy Jordan, and his little group in San Diego who were diehard Central American fanatics. He's the guy that had Pablo, the big Dovai,
Mm-hmm.
and that's who I connected with, and he turned me on to the few guys on the East Coast that had some centrals, and they all were kind enough to send me fry, and I started raising them from their stock, and that's mostly where my fish came from.
Nice.
So yeah, they're pure. Of course, these are like the Dovais. This is probably 5th generation fourth or 5th generation, but they still have their colors. They still get their humps. They're plenty orange, as you can see.
I like that male.
Yeah, that guy. He still has a teeny bit of black in him too.
I like that.
And the little females, she's
a bright orange.
concentrated. Yeah, because of I think the size, a little smaller. The orange is more concentrated or something. But yeah, they'll spawn again. They spawn quite regularly. I just don't have the desire to raise them anymore. But yeah, I know. Well, like I said last week, I know you were asking me about chanchos a while ago, and you could have scooped up probably 500 of them in a net last week, no problem. But next time they spawn, I'll just say, hey, Sean, you want to come up and try to swipe in net? Because they do it every couple months.
I'll be on it.
It's not an unusual situation for them to spawn.
Now let me ask you a question. I ordered some chancho. recently,
Yeah.
and some of them had showed up where the bottom jaw kind of comes up above the top jaw.
More like a predator style.
Kind of like your umbi look, or not, your dovai looks in a way. And to me, for the chancho, looks deformed. But I was informed by the breeder that no, that's just sometimes the bottom grows faster than the top, and the top will extend catch up later. So I'm like, all right.
Sounds like BS to me, man.
That's what I thought too. So I'm going to hold on to them, and I'm wondering if you've ever noticed that in yours.
Never.
Okay.
No. I've raised a few thousand of them, so.
Yeah. Okay.
The chancho is, it's another standard Amphilophus, and its jaws are not going to be. It's either deformed, or it's some other species, or it's a crossbreed. Whichever one of those, I don't know.
Yeah, and I had mentioned, I've been doing Amphilophus a long time. You've been doing a lot longer than me. That's why I needed, and plus you have chancho.
Yeah, well, when you go into the 1,000 and you see the ridiculously big chancho, you can take a look at his jaws and you'll see there.
But he did say that once they get bigger, it catches up and he looks normal.
Well,
so
I don't know. I mean, I don't know who it is, and I don't want to.
I'm not going to say names.
But I guess you can raise them and see what happens. But if that's the case, it's a new one on me. How's that?
That's true. Hey, you got a couple over here digging a pit.
Yeah, actually, those that may or not be that pair. They've been spawning behind that rock.
What do you? And I'm sure people are going to want to know. What do you say your success is? Well, why do you have such success? Is it mass water changes? Is it just boatload of filtration? Is it food? All of the above? Back to what we're doing. Sorry, interruption there. I got a phone call. I was supposed to get some audiences in today, and my son
did.
I did. They were floating, so they did not make the trip. So anyway, what is your success?
Well, I guess there's a lot of key, I've just probably more than anything, it's learning from your mistakes and doing it for 40 years and learning what does work and what doesn't work. Water changes are probably the #1 fundamental thing you've got to do if you want to keep Central American cichlids. And I mean keep them right, with no foggy eyes, no pits, having them healthy and spawning, and you can keep them alive if you just want to torture a poor beast without water changes. But if you want to do it right, that's the first thing. Right. Filtration's important, but I think water movement's probably more important than the actual filtration. So I've always thought water changes and water movement probably the most important things. Filtration's obviously important as well. Tank size is a real big thing. To me, overcrowding is not a great idea. Also, another thing is you learn as time goes by is what fish will go with what fish.
Right.
And that's a real key, because people will tell you, I've got a 2-inch dovai and he lives with everybody. He'll and then you find out when that 2-inch dovai gets to be a foot or plus, that's not the case.
Yeah.
The other thing is, even if, let's say you have a dovai in a tank with 5 or 6 other species and he doesn't actually kill them, and it's a decent sized tank, and you think, yeah, I'm kind of getting away with it. Over time, the other fish get stressed. That stress will lead to, all of a sudden you go, I wonder why that guy died. He was in perfect condition. He's only 2 years old. Well, he died from probably bloat, which was created by the stress of living in a tank with a dovai.
Yeah.
And so longevity-wise, even if a fish or group of fish somehow manages to survive with a dominant fish that it shouldn't be with, quality of life is not there. How would you like to be eating in the same, you could be thrown in a zoo with a tiger or a lion.
Yeah.
And he might be on a chain, he can get within an inch of you, but he can't quite tear you to bits. You think you're going to enjoy that? And how's that food going down for you when you're eating? Or,
I'm going to be stressing every day.
Or when you're sleeping, how well are you going to sleep at night knowing that fish or that lion is an inch from you? So
that's true.
That's one of the hardest things I think to get people to really appreciate is mixing the right fish with the right fish. And again, even if you think you're getting away with it on the surface, underneath you're not.
Right.
Because stress, disease, what have you, comes back to haunt you in those situations. And, that's not to say you can't have fish that live together, but you just got to mix the right ones. Amphilophus with Amphilophus. Chanchos and red devils get along well. And maybe if you want a Parachromis in there, put something that's a less aggressive Parachromis, like maybe a Loiseli, something like that. If you want to keep something with the Dovi, and you're absolutely adamant about it, then make sure the tank's 600 gallons like this or something, and maybe you get away with some Jaguars in it. Maybe not.
Yeah,
but
still, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not recommending it. I'm just saying that matching species you're a lot better off. With the Dovi, you're better off just leaving them alone. But anyway, and then of course the right food. People sometimes cheap out and buy not the greatest quality food, but they overfeed.
Yeah.
You're way better going the opposite way and feeding high quality food. I've lived on this stuff forever. I'll give you a good advertisement for jumbo krill. Tetra's jumbo krill. Buy it. Soak it. And soak a handful in the morning, and then for the smaller fish, tear it up. The bigger fish, feed it whole. It's just the best food there is. It gives them color, it gives them the roughage, everything. And then I mix that up with Akari Bio Gold Plus, which I found to be a good staple, and the Dionichi Color Supreme, and the Spectrum cichlid food, and that's pretty much all I feed. And then every now and then, when I haven't done it as much in the last few years, but with some of the Amphilophus, or if you have some of the vegetarian fish like a Maculicata or a Simspilum, those kind of fish, throw in some fresh peas, veggies, zucchini, things like that. I've done that in the past, but with these kind of fish, it creates more of a mess, then you can't really get them to eat it. So you just have to kind of know what your fish eat in the wild and try to mimic that as best you can. Then the other thing is, there's all kinds of little subtle things that you learn over the years. Lighting. Certain fish, you don't want to have the lights too bright.
I'm glad you brought that up. I've pointed that out so many times. People saying, "Oh, I need this huge, great, like, what do you got? Chancho or Citronella. Why is the light so bright? Fish don't.
They don't need it.
The
yeah.
light.
In fact, some of them they don't want. Yeah.
Yeah.
And a fish like an ornatum, for example, thrives so much. You see how dark? I mean, comparatively dark that dam. And there's lots of places where there's shade where he can go where there's just no light whatsoever.
Right.
So some of those northern South Americans like that, like Feste, they don't like super bright light. So you kind of have to know where the fish comes from, and lighting is another. It's not as big a factor, but it's another factor. It's another factor that keeps them from stressing out, which in turn keeps them from being unhealthy.
Exactly.
And temperature. Another big deal is temperature. Not only is the right temperature range important, but the male chanchos come out a little bit now. One of them anyway. And that's the pair right there. Yeah, and then that's the pair that lives in that cave there, and then the other pair is behind them. You can see the female backing back into the cave a little bit. You also notice the female has a little bit of red on her throat. It's very subtle, but if you look right under her jaw and the throat, and maybe with the lighting it's harder to tell too, but that red becomes a lot more pronounced when they're spawning, and her stripes almost looks like a convict. She just gets totally black and white with a little bit of red in the throat. I guess more cream than white, but they're really a beautiful fish. I mean, a lot of people don't find fish that don't have super bright colors to be gorgeous.
Right.
But I kind of like them the most, just because their colors are so subtle, and you get little shades of green on them and creams and what have you. I don't know if you can see where the gill plate is, but the female, you can see a little bit of that red in there.
You get a little bit underneath, yeah.
Yeah, and it's a little more pronounced when she's where there's more light, or again when she's spawning. But anyway, that's.
This guy's a midget compared to your other one.
That's another chancho. That's one of the males that I have not yet pulled out from one of their previous spawnings. But yeah, he's a pretty good sized chancho. I would say that fish is 12 inches or so.
That Lozella is
that's not a Loizella.
That's not a Lozella?
That is a Fred.
Oh, it's a Freddy? Okay, that Freddy is huge.
That is the son of the Fred that you'll see in the other room. And if you think that one's huge, wait till you go in the other room. That is, I used to have a pair of Freds that I had on a YouTube video that were in a 270 in the corner. And they were the Honduran Freds. And that's what that is, a Honduran Fred, which does look a little bit more like a Loisella. But they spawned multiple times, and the female I finally lost years ago, so I put the male in the 1,000, and this guy moved into this tank, in the community tank, where he's done pretty well. Little by little, that Dovi is catching up in size to him, and now you see that he's got ripped fins and stuff.
A little bit, yeah.
And that's, I'm sure, because of that Dovi, which at some point that Dovi will be moved into that 1,000-gallon tank as he gets a little bit bigger. And this will go back to what it was originally intended, which was an Amphilophus tank.
Nice.
So yeah, you can see the nuchal hump on that particular Loisel. I mean,
Chancho.
Chancho, and again, it's a big fish. But when we go in the other room and you see,
Yes.
the other thing to remember, that's the parents. The one in the other room is the product of these guys. The other room is not the dad. That is the parents. He is younger than those.
Is it because of the tank size that he's...
Tank size, he's just, genes. I mean, it's just like, why did Will Chamberlain turn out to be 7 feet tall?
Right.
The genes, part of it was nurture, part of it was nature. But I always want to make sure I point that out, is those are the parents. So those guys are pushing a decade old. The Chancho in the other room is maybe 6 years old, something like that.
Well,
6, 7 years old, I don't know, something
Let's
like
go see that beast. This is the 1,000-gallon tank. And that's the big Chancho.
And there comes the big Fred.
Holy crud.
Get him from the side, you can probably see him better.
That dude is whiter. He's coming right at me now, so I'll just... He is whiter than his dad is long. That is enormous.
You see how thick he is?
That is absolutely insane.
Yeah, that's about a 6-year-old fish. There's not many fish left in this tank. It's like maybe 3 or 4 jags. And you can see
Wow.
the Fred. And I've got an old beat up arrow that's got a hole in the head now. He's 100 years old, and I just can't put him down. So I just let him.
Yeah, I think there's some. They're still trying. They're trying to find some of those. That's a Zaliosis. Is that what he is?
Yeah.
I'm sure if I say that correctly.
Yeah, Zalios and Zaliosis, whatever.
They're trying to find some of those and get them back in the hobby.
Well, I spawned those things so many times. I can't tell you how many people said I have no desire for those.
Yeah.
And that was not even that many. Maybe 5, 6 years ago, I had a pair in that tank, and they spawned regularly. And that's, of course, the last of the ones that I've had. But
That jag there. What would you say he is? 16 inches?
yeah, it's a pretty good sized jag.
He is an awesome looking jag.
Yeah, if he turns sideways, you get his profile. He's got some. That's I believe one of the Honduran jags. I've got both the Nicaraguan and Honduran in here.
Everybody.
He likes his camera time.
He does. He's following me everywhere.
Well, because he figures you're going to give him food.
Oh, you don't need more food, dude.
No, he's.
You've got a nice full belly
I
there.
can't imagine. I really don't know the weight of that fish, but I wouldn't surprise me if that fish weighed as much as my old Dovi did. Maybe not quite as much because he's not nearly as long, but he is so thick.
He is. Yeah, he's insanely thick. Now, those are both males, right? The Fred and the Jag.
Yeah, everybody in here is males.
Is the Freddy just buddies with the Jag? Or?
Yeah, they do all right together. Yeah, there's actually a Fred. Is that the one that came out of that? Oh, there's the other. If you put your camera on here, you'll see the other Jag in there, sticking his nose out of the snout, snout out of the cave, I should say.
He came flying over when I was in the corner. All of them came flying over to say hi.
That was the third one.
Oh, there's another one in here.
Yeah, that's the bigger one in there. In that cave down there is the bigger Nicaraguan Jag. The one you saw shoot over was the smaller one that had the torn back fins.
Ah.
I don't know where the other one is at the moment. He probably just took off again.
Well,
But
here, give me a profile. Come on. because that's not my feeding hole. Well, here's my feeding hole.
They only swim sideways when you don't want them to.
Always. It's like whenever I'm trying to take a picture, they face me. It's like, seriously, guys, I want a profile.
My turn. You know what? If I go over here, you stay there. Maybe I'll. He might come over here. Dudes!
There you go. Oh yeah, very nice.
So you can see what I mean. That Jag's Fred is also quite a bit bigger than the other one in the other tank.
Oh, considerably. Yeah. Most definitely. And we'll get a quick look at the arrow.
The old sad, almost done arrow. He can't even swim. His swim bladder's been smashed so many times, and that's a good example of a fish that's stressed out. He lives in this tank with these. I put him in here because he really had nowhere else to go. He was too big for the smaller tanks. He was in the Amphilophus tank. That's where he was spawned, and he did quite well in there for years until I brought in the pair of chanchos. They displaced him from the corner, and then he came in here, and he did okay for a couple of years. But once these guys started getting really big, he started stressing out. And again, he's a decade or more old, so I just don't have the heart to put him down.
No, I can understand that. Sweet.
And there's my 8 million Islanums that are constantly spawning.
You realize how many people on Facebook are looking for Islanums?
I can't get anybody to buy them. Nobody ever wants them. I give them to Kevin all the time.
Ship them.
I don't ship. It's just too big a pain. But you see they've got great color.
And these are, what are they called, the red Islanum?
Yeah, red Islanum. There was 2 pairs of them spawning when you last Wednesday in the corner and then the other corner.
When I was going to be here?
Yeah, when you were gonna be here. But they constantly, I've got a pair in this cave, there's a pair in that cave, there's a pair in the cave back there, and for all I know, there may be fry in one of those caves right now. I mean, they constantly, like I said, Kevin had some guy who wanted some, I think he was down in LA or something, and I've told people before, if you want fish, just contact Kevin and he can come get them, and
He'll take care of it.
He'll take care of the shipping. But same thing for you. You want some of these, just grab a net. At some point, grab a net. You want to ship them, we'll split the proceeds or something.
Exactly, I'll let them know.
But yeah, they're very healthy. When they are spawning, the females are just literally on fire. They get so red. This red in here that you see so nice in the female, when they spawn, the red is just turned up to the nth degree, and they're just a spectacular colored fish. I mean, I've got YouTube videos of some of my Islanum spawning in the past. I think this one right here is about ready to look at. She's starting to drop her tube right now. So you wait another couple hours, you might have some fry again pretty soon.
And the fry survive? Do they keep them inside the?
Yeah, the fry survive quite well. They, if I had the desire, I'd scoop them up and I could raise them just fine. But
right.
they usually survive a couple weeks until all these guys finally pick them up.
That's what I'm saying. So in order for them to get this size, you need to remove them.
Yeah, right. This many.
Yeah.
With this many hungry little guys in there, yes. Absolutely would need to remove them.
I'd say your smallest ones are probably 4 or 5 inch. The bigger, medium ones look like they're about 6 inch.
Yeah.
Some are probably 7 inch.
Yeah, and I purposely keep. I've had more than this in the tank, but I kind of keep it to this level because I don't want the spawns to survive. And when you got this many little hungry guys, they get the fry. They get the fry after a week or two.
Wow. Some beauties.
Yeah, there's some nice fish. You can see he's been doing some lip locking. Has lost.
I saw that he got his corner of his mouth there tore off.
Yeah, that's what happens when you're constantly spawning.
Finally, you know, spawning in something like this, they probably just get to the point and just understand. All right, I got all these freaking neighbors.
Yep.
So, oh well.
Yeah, if I traditionally what's happens in this tank is if I remove, you know, if little by little I start, Kevin comes by, I sell some, get rid of some, whatever. When the population gets maybe a third smaller than this, that's when the parents are able to raise the fry, and then I go right back to this.
There you go. Yep.
That's kind of how I've done it. You know, I just go right back to this after let the population get about a third to half this size. The other one spawn, and poof, it's right back to here. Is that your battery?
No, that's my phone blowing up.
And you missed the spawning of the green terrace as well last week.
Oh, we got to look at your Stallsbergie now.
Yeah, there's still some young guys in there. They also spawn quite regularly.
Well, you know, I've been doing a lot of reading on the Atros.
Uh-huh.
And I swear you have all females, because everything I hear, the males don't get really bright red like that.
Yeah, the only one that I think might be a male is the one over in the corner that isn't as red. They've all got the blotches in their dorsal fins, and they've never shown a hint of interest in spawning. So it's quite possible that I got really lucky and got
You got
4
all
females.
females. I mean, look at them. They're beauties.
And that one in particular has got so much red. There's one of the last fry from the green terrace that spawned.
Let's look at these Stallsbergie.
That's obviously the non-aggressive second in command male, the dominant's over there.
Oh, the corner.
Yeah, the corner. And that's the dominant female right there. She spawns.
Oh, look at her colors. Her
They
colors
spawn
are beautiful.
all the time.
Oh, there she is. She came back.
Oh, the little fry.
No, the female. I was
the
trying to get the
female.
female back there.
If you sit on that chair, you might have more luck. She will be less intimidated from the height of
Height.
you. Not just because I said that, she'll probably know. Yeah, here she comes. You get a good sense of the colors. And again, as colorful as she is when they're spawning, the colors are just even more crazy.
But the blues on them are. And so, does she go between the two males, or?
Yeah, she actually does. And this guy's actually spawned a couple times. He gets a little more aggressive when he actually gets to be the guy that spawns. But she usually spawns with the other one.
More aggressive male.
Yeah, and he doesn't have a mark on him. You know, he's a pretty dominant little fish. It's really one of my favorite fish. It's really for a normal hobbyist, it's a great sized fish. It's not too big.
Mm-hmm.
And the colors are just so terrific. I don't know if the colors ever show up as well when you're not seeing them in person. You just don't get that the effect of the metallics, the machine on them and stuff. Really, it's one of the few. I mean, the females is equally as attractive as the male.
I like the female. She's got that darker blue.
Yeah,
and,
right. And their white seems to be more pronounced on
yeah.
her.
On the tips of her fins. Yeah. Even your Atros, I mean, they're much bigger than they were when I saw them last, and so much more color too.
Yeah, they are just little orange beacons, aren't they? Or red, I don't know, whatever you want to call them, burnt orange.
I don't know, that looks pretty freaking red to me. Nice.
It's hard to see in the shade and stuff. There he is. He's coming out in the light now. He or she. It's hard to say. But usually, little by little, the Atros pick them off, and it's a great source of food for them. So.
Exactly.
And again, I have spawned those and raised up some, as you know, some fry, and I've done that a couple times. But
these are.
you just have to really want to raise them badly, and I just at the point where I like them to spawn. It's a lot of fun to watch a cloud of these things being paraded around the tank with the male, with the female and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And she really enjoys spawning, and so it's fun to watch them and what have you. But to yank the fry anymore and raise them up is just more work than I want to do. So when I say I'm getting out of it, as you can see, I'm not all that out of it.
You got a long ways to go.
Yeah. Well,
You got such a long ways to go. Throw a male atro in here and throw it all off.
I mean, like I said, I really don't want any more fish, but there are, of course, those exceptions. If I found a really good male, for sure, atro, might be interesting to see what would happen.
And this tank's what, a 270?
Yeah, that's 270. 6 long, 3 wide, and 2 feet tall, I believe, and 25 inches tall, something like that.
Oh, when you're finally done, then we'll worry about it.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
exactly.
probably 10, 15 years down the road. And at that point, I may be saying, God, I'm still doing this?
Yeah, it's a great hobby. I mean, it's so much fun, and you learn so much, and you can just, I've never gotten tired of it, but it's just you get to a point where you just, you can't let it just rule your life.
Right.
And that's kind of where I've got to, where I'm like, yeah, if I could keep it the way it is and be able to travel and do some of that stuff, then I probably would. But it's a lot to ask for somebody to come over here and, hey, do me a favor, feed my fish twice a day, and I need you to do these 3 tanks today, or these 3 tanks tomorrow, and these 3 tanks the next day. And
That's a full-time job.
yeah, it is full-time job.
Are you paying me $15 an hour? Because isn't that minimum
That's
wage
the
here?
minimum wage in Seattle, yeah.
Sweet. Well, there's another little one.
Yeah, see, they come out from all over. If you're patient, that's the other thing I like about just watching the fish. In a tank like this, if you're patient, you kind of find all kinds of things coming out from behind rocks and stuff that you didn't even know was there. You go, oh, I didn't know that guy was still around. Or, like I said, there's this guy, and then there's that size, and I think there's maybe 4 different sizes of these crazy little fry. You're probably just teasing a bunch of people on the internet going, man, I kind of want green terrors and I can't get them, or Islam, I can't get them.
That's the intent.
That's the intent.
Exactly. All right. Well, guys, this is it. I'm done shutting off the video. My arm went to sleep.
Yeah, that's not good. That's a sign that it should go off.
So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed Mel's fish. Nobody's seen him in a while on YouTube. So I hope this satisfies your cravings for Mel's videos.